Okay, what is going on, guys? It is Story Times of Crimes here, or Shane Dryer. So, as you can tell by the video title, this is going to be a story about me getting my ass handed to me. Now, let me say a couple things before we go into the video. One is a disclaimer. I am going to throw photos at the end of this. Unlike people like Luna and YouTube story times, my story times are legit. And not only are they legit, but when things happen to me, I usually take pictures, or at least things that happen to me where it's a story time, but I can take photos without it being illegal, because this isn't illegal. I did nothing wrong. I was the victim here. However, the place that it happened did not have any cameras, and the police were involved on both sides of this fight. But unfortunately, neither one of us could be charged or not charged. It was just a civil matter, and it was let go. I will not reveal the location of where this fight happened, but it did happen because of one of my friend's neighbors, yes. And I will explain the whole situation here. So, when this happened, it was on a Friday. It was fairly recently, though. And it was after I had work. I decided to go into the city, because that was the only time that the liquor store was open at 11 p.m., and buy some shots. That came in a box. I went to my buddies, and we got annihilated. I was piss drunk by the time what you're about to hear occurs. So, my buddy also lives in a trailer park, in a different park, but he lives in a trailer park. And understandably, trailer parks are not great. Trailers are not spaced out very, very far at all. And so he has a ton of neighbors. Well, him and I have speakers, but unfortunately, fortunately, I should say, my vehicle has JBL speakers, and it's in a vehicle, so it's very bassy, it's very crisp, clear audio, and it's extremely loud. So, while being drunk, we actually decided for once to not drive around while drunk, but instead decided to sit there in the car in his driveway and listen to tunes while trashing my car. While listening to tunes for the first time, because it's going to happen again, this is what causes the fight. The first time here, while we're sitting in the car, I am a very, aware person, and I was watching behind the vehicle because I was understandably facing his home. And into his park come two cop cars, and they drive by. Well, this I think nothing of until this event occurs a half hour later. So after the cops drive by, I say, okay, well, we're drunk. We were just blasting music. When the cops went out of our sight and didn't turn around, I said, I don't give a fuck if they didn't turn around. We need to go back in the house. We went back in the house and waited about a half hour. We decided to go back out into my car and drive around this time. And we didn't see the cops around the park, so we went back home, which probably wasn't smart, because if they were there, they could have pulled us over. But the thing you don't know about the park is that it's private property. However, it was stupid, because we had avoided the police just to drive around and risk getting caught by them again, which was just fucking dumb. But it didn't happen, and we pulled back into his driveway. Now, we're listening to music, right? And I'm getting bored of sitting there, and like I just aforementioned, it's private property. So I say, fuck it, let's go somewhere else, like in the park. I mean, not in his house, because his mom had work the next day, and she was one of those people that could tolerate things, but you knew she was awake and low key pissed about it, but she wouldn't say nothing. So I was being respectful, and I said, let's drive around. So I throw my car in reverse, and I start backing up, and I notice a figure walk up behind my vehicle, all punk style, like real quick, and come up to my passenger side door. Not even my door. He already knew. And I stopped the vehicle, understandably. I'm at this point about halfway out of my buddy's driveway and halfway onto the street, so it's like kind of awkward looking. And I rolled the window down. I said, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "I need to talk to so and so," which was my buddy. And it turned out after this whole thing you're about to hear that this was his neighbor across the street. And he's grilling my buddy about things that I know my buddy doesn't or never did do. And I'm drunk as fuck and have an anger problem, and it's exacerbated or what's the word? It's more prominent when I am drunk. I get angry very quickly, and this was no different. The dude was really, really pissing me off, but and I'm going to keep reiterating this, but this is the reason I lost this fight, but there's a reason why I'm glad too, because I couldn't be charged. But I was fucking annihilated. I could barely speak. But I kept interrupting them to defend my buddy. I just kept like talking to him nicely, and I was being nice to him too. And the dude kept telling me to shut my fucking mouth. He said it to me like 3 times. And the third time I said, "I don't know who the fuck you're speaking to, but you need to knock that shit off." And he said, "I don't gotta do shit you say, bitch. Get out the car." And so, me not thinking, because I'll tell you guys something right now. I haven't been in many fights, but the ones I have been in, including this one, I've almost won that one, and I won a couple other fights too. People don't want to fuck with me, and I know why, because I can fight when I'm sober. However, when I'm drunk, I'm basically useless in all aspects, and that includes fighting. And especially when I was that drunk, I couldn't even fight because my coordination was gone at that point. Now, mind you, this dude is a mixed, African-American white. He's a mixed male. He's 3 times my size, and I'm still, you've seen I'm a big man. This dude tells me to step out my car, and he's basically threatening me in my own property. So I got out the car, came around, and the dude clocked me right in the face. And so I immediately charge at him. I grab him, kind of like a bull, and I try to wrestle him to the ground. And I almost get this dude who's probably about 300-400 pounds on the ground. But unfortunately, for one, I'm too drunk, and for two, I am still smaller than the guy. As far as my stature and robustness goes, because I was about the same strength, but he was unfortunately kind of like a wrestler build, like kind of overweight, like a sumo wrestler. And he overpowered me, unfortunately, and got me off, and he just kept hitting me. And I was so drunk, I kept trying to land punches and kept missing them. Now, the dude roughs me up, right? But let me say something here. If a dude 3 times your size, most people would get punched once or twice and get knocked out. This dude, and you'll see by the photos at the end of the video, and it's a disclaimer, it's pretty ugly. But I'll show you a picture of me now, too. I'll take a picture of myself now, too. I healed. This was like 2 weeks ago. I healed immediately. It looks terrible, but it's only because he split my lip open because he was wearing rings. Because he was wearing rings, too. I saw them. Through my drunkenness, because it reflected in the light of my vehicle. That's the only reason I saw or even remembered he had them on. However, that's a Red Bull, by the way. It's the first energy drink I've drinking in like 3 months. So if I sound a little hyper, that's why. But no, the dude splits my lip open, and at this point, I do start bleeding. Now, I wasn't sure at that point, because I was drunk and just got my ass handed to me, if I was bleeding because I lost a tooth or because I was severely injured. But there was a lot of blood coming out. Now, a lip is a lip. It's going to bleed a lot if it's punctured. So that's the reason I lost a lot of blood. But I conceded the fight. I said, I give up. For one, I was drunk. For two, he had hit me at this point about 15 times very hard, and he was sober, clearly. I did land a couple punches on him, but again, he overpowered me. I was drunk, and he was 3 times my size, but I got him good a couple times. Unfortunately, he didn't break any blood. He was probably bruised, though, and I was bruised, but the one that made me bleed, and you're going to see all the blood all over the place, it was from my one lip, because his one ring, unfortunately, split my lip. But when you see what happened there, the before pictures, and when you see me now, literally 2 weeks later, I healed immaculately. Motherfucker was 3 times my size and didn't get any teeth, didn't get my eyes. I can still see. My nose isn't broken. He literally just hit my temple a couple times, and that was that. The dude thought he was a tough guy, you know. Well, after I concede the fight, I conceded defeat. He goes back in his home and says nothing else. I get back in my car, and I scream at my buddy who was... Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't care what most people say, and I know a couple people that really are about it. But most people, I'm going to admit, in this world are bitch-made. And that means they say they can fight, they think they're tough, and the second it actually boils down to the fucking hot... the second it boils down to the hot wire, it ain't sparking. They're gone, you know. Well, he's sitting there, didn't defend me at all. If my buddy had even just gotten out and even just distracted the dude and took a punch or two for me out of the 15 I took for him, because I was defending him ultimately, I would have been able to come up from behind him and probably kick him to the ground and then stomp his head out, which is why I'm glad I didn't get him on the ground, because with my anger, I probably would have caused some serious damage, and then I would have went to jail. Well, here's the reason why this guy didn't go to jail either. I'm going to end the story fairly soon, probably 14 minutes. But the reason I didn't go to jail, the reason he didn't go to jail, and the reason I didn't call the police right away is, one, because I was intoxicated. I was intoxicated. And it's already been dealt with. The guy doesn't even know my name or where I live, so that's okay. And he doesn't know my YouTube channel. No one knows who this was that caused this to happen except for the police. And I didn't tell them I was drunk. I did lie to them. I told them I was shocked and didn't want to call them because I was bleeding and trying to heal myself, because it was pretty bad, because I called them the day after. But what this dude proceeded to do was he called the police probably about an hour after the fight happened. It happened at 3:30 in the morning. And he called the police, because when the officer came back after I called him, he told me that the dude had already, because the officer went to his house, the police told me that he had called at 4:30 in the morning, and he had claimed that me and my buddy, which is this guy's neighbor, so my buddy's his neighbor, tried to claim that him and I were trying to break into his house, which was completely wrong, and he quote-unquote defended himself, when in reality, he's the one that came up to my car and pressed... and basically pressured me out of it and enticed me to get out of it. And caused this fight to ensue. However, because here's the thing, if there were cameras that saw what happened, they wouldn't have seen us drinking, because even though we went back out to the car, we never brought any booze with us. We only drank in the house, and I brought it in there beforehand. They wouldn't have been able to tell from that distance anyways that it was booze, right? But, what was I going to say? Here's the moral of the story. One, don't drink alcohol, ever. I'm beginning the process of quitting. Or if you do drink, like I'm probably going to do in the future here, drink once every 2-3 weeks and get trashed, but don't drink every day and do not fall into alcoholism. Two, if someone is pressing you, the best thing to do is to shut your mouth. Not because you're a bitch, but because you're actually being smart by doing that. Low key. Or actually high key, truthfully. And don't fuck around. But yeah, the only reason you're going to see me in these pictures coming up next beaten that bad is only because of one reason. And that was because I was so drunk I couldn't defend myself. But I shouldn't have enticed the fight to begin with, even though he technically told me to get out, and I didn't even get around to the side of the vehicle before he punched me. But yeah, there was no cameras that caught the event, so it was unfortunately settled right then and there, not anywhere in court. It was all civil and all hearsay. Hearsay, even though the cops saw I was bloodied, he literally, you can't do anything without video evidence, and my buddy didn't think to record, so... But that's what happened there. It's all cleared. Also, my court, before I ended 15 minutes, my court is cleared with my DWI. I'm just going to have to attend a little DWI course and wait a year to do trucks, but I'm still going to do trucks. It's all my goals. I have all my goals. Peace and love. Subscribe, like, you know the drill. I'm going to be a legend. Peace.